From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? I'm Aslan. He's Corey. Obviously, that's stated just moments before I just said that myself, but you know me and falling into bad traps. We won't fall into any bad traps today. It's a Friday program. Last one before Miami week concludes. Corey Clark is here per usual. Corey, how are you, my friend?
I am wonderful, Aslan. You know that.
Yeah. All right. Well, no, I don't know, or else I wouldn't ask you that. I don't do throwaway questions, man. I need to get
But
answers.
you knew. You had to know. I mean, it's my life, right? It's Corey Clark. So usually I'm doing fantastic.
Folks, don't forget, the Notre Dame game is coming up around the bend. Get it, Corey? See what I did there? Coming up around the bend.
Right around the South Bend.
If you've never been to Notre Dame for a game, you have to go. It's one of those bucket list sort of things. And if you don't have plans yet, that's okay because Game Day Excursions has you covered. Check them out at GameDayExcursions.com. There's all sorts of packages, whether you need a lift from Chicago to South Bend. I think it's only like a 2-hour drive or so, but they're going to do a bus. There's going to be like mimosas and Bloody Marys literally on the bus the morning of the commute from Chicago to South Bend. There's going to be a yacht party in downtown Chicago. All that sort of stuff is at your fingertips. And if you use the promo code WARCHANT, you'll get $10 off. I think I've asked you this before. You've never been to South Bend, though, Corey, have you?
No, I've been there twice.
Oh, you have?
So
obviously.
I was there in 93 for the game of the century.
Of course.
Heartbreaker there at the end. And then I was there in 2003 as well.
Oh, you weren't there. Okay, so I thought you weren't there for 03. I was there in 2003. When we get closer, we can share our stories about South Bend. Although all my friends keep saying, dude, when are you going to tell the story about South Bend? And I feel like I'm overselling it. And then once I finally do let everybody in on, they're going to be like, whatever. A bunch of guys went to South Bend and had fun. The end. But
yeah, it sounds like it's going to be too much of a build-up for not a great delivery. But, man, that's this show, isn't it? Really, in a nutshell?
Is it the season, Corey? Is it the season? Is this the build-up, all the feelings, the juices? It's Miami week, the war drum. Although I don't know if they still do that. Back in my day, they would there's literally a big drum. They would just hit it the entire week in the student union.
That's right. I remember that, yeah.
But the student union, I think, is going under construction and renovation, so who knows where the drum is or anything like that. But the flags are flying. Feel like we've uncovered and overturned every single stone there is about this upcoming game. We're not going to really, dive back into it and get everybody all negatively charged on a Friday. We've heard you folks, or I've heard you. I get it. You're like a big-time Florida State fan, so are listening to the show. You want to hear optimism, but you're dealing with two guys who, listen, we're treating you like you're our brothers, our sons. I'm not going to send you out there and give you false hope, guys. It's not doing that. But we'll maybe see if we can just offer some parting shots before toe meets leather at 3:30 in Miami Gardens. But we spoke to Willie on Thursday, Corey, and I guess Landon Dickerson right now doesn't sound too – I would put him probably in the questionable designation with closer to doubtful than probable.
Yeah, I think he's doubtful. And yeah, that's another reason when you're looking at this game is how winnable it might be. Well, that's a reason to be pessimistic. Another one is that your best lineman probably won't be playing. I mean, he hasn't been at practice the 3 days we've been out there. We haven't seen him at all, not even walking around. So that doesn't sound great. So you hope he makes it. You hope he's there, but it doesn't appear great, and even if he is there, he's obviously not going to be close to 100%. So, maybe they rest him this week, and then with the bye week, and then coming up against Wake, maybe that's what they're thinking. Doesn't look good, folks, but doesn't mean it can't happen. Crazier things than have happened in sports than a 13-point underdog going on the road and winning a game. It can happen. We're just not going to – like Aslan said, man, we're not in the business of just – blowing smoke up your butts. That's not what we do. We tell it like it is. That's why you listen to this show. My opinion is it's going to be really hard for Florida State to win. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm back here on Monday talking about one of the bigger upsets in recent years in Florida State history. That would be awesome.
You got a cough drop in right now, champ? You all right over there?
Got a lozenge. Sorry, guys. I got a lozenge. I'm almost done with it, though. I'm about to spit it out.
I was kind of lamenting this talking to Ira. I just felt like Dickerson they would bring back for the Miami game. Like when we heard the sort of 1 month timetable that happened during the Virginia Tech game, I'm like, all right, well, that lines up with you. You bring him back from Miami. Hopefully he makes it through 60 minutes there, and then he's got a whole week to rest it on the bye week and then get ready for Wake Forest. But then Ira was, well, you got two choices, man. You got two games. You have Louisville and Miami. Which one to you is more winnable? And I was like, touche, 5-star. You and your sage advice. So that's a little, I don't know, just I'm sure the coaching staff is probably thinking that as well too. Like they need wins. They're looking at that schedule and they're saying what games can we win on this schedule? And safe sort of theory to think that they're like, okay, well, let's see if we can get him out there on the field for Louisville. We can probably win that game, and then if he holds up, then we have him for Miami. And if we don't, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that sentiment. I mean, that makes sense. I don't think they would have won on Saturday if Landon Dickerson wasn't playing. I've seen what those other tackles have done, and I think maybe one of those two big pass plays that they hit, maybe they probably don't happen if DeAndre Francois is being blindsided as he's throwing the ball. So, I mean, I think it was a calculated risk that I think even if Landon Dickerson played on Saturday, it's going to be a rough matchup for them. So you might as well take the win when you can get it. So, you just hope he's not like he didn't like re-injure it for the season, and he's still going to be able to come back this year. But if you're choosing, I kind of agree with that. If you lose to Miami, you're still 3-3, but you still have a chance to make a bowl, and you give him an extra week of rest going into the Wake game.
I think Willie said on Wednesday on his teleconference that he was a little more sore than they had anticipated, but on Thursday, I don't know if he clarified it, but he did say that it looks like he did re-aggravate it. So that's, that's obviously, again, not a good thing. We did see Jawan Williams out there on Thursday. Thursdays are walkthroughs, starters, guys that travel with the team, guys that play, contributors, usually are just in pants and jerseys. They're not even they're not wearing shells or anything because it's just a walkthrough. But scout team guys, freshmen, they're usually in full pads. I think they do something on the side to keep them sort of engaged. And also Willie has, I think they do something during those walkthroughs where guys can earn the right to travel with the team if they're not necessarily part of, the two deep or whatever. Jawan Williams was in full pads, which is like not a good sign. He was in a blue non-contact jersey throughout the week, but it just one of those things where I don't even know if he's going to see the field, if he'll even be available on Saturday, which is crazy because like right now the tackles you're looking at is, I guess if Derek Kelly can go, which Willie did sound a little bit optimistic on him, Brady Scott, and Abdul Bello. And Abdul Bello had a club on his hand when we saw him on Wednesday. I don't remember seeing him on Thursday, but Wednesday he had his hand was heavily taped. And it's like, all right, well, those are your three guys at tackle. That's suboptimal.
Correct.
Yeah. So, all right, that's all that. With that said, Corey, it's going to be fun down there. I still think, I don't know, I keep thinking it's going to be like a night game, but I'm like, it's going to be an afternoon game. It's going to be maybe a different energy. Maybe, N'Kosi Perry, maybe he likes playing under the bright lights of primetime games. 3:30 game might shake him. I don't know. Who knows?
I think FSU is 1-0 this year in 3:30 games.
I think you are right. Yeah.
So
no,
there you go.
2-0, brother. 2-0. Wasn't Northern Illinois 3? Northern Illinois was 3:30.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. So, yeah, 2-0. Man, this is the sweet spot for this football team, folks. Wow. Now that I think about it, they're hitting their peak around 3:30, 5 o'clock, in that window there. So, yeah, man, maybe I think Florida State has a better chance than Miami. Miami's not used to playing 3:30 games. They don't want any part of this.
Yeah. All right, let's turn it over to you folks. We'll step aside. We'll do a phone call Friday. I haven't screened any of these phone calls, which means it's either going to be great or total disaster. That's somewhat of a tease. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant Low Carb Beer for the Seminole Soul. Back to Aslan and Corey.
Yo, man.
understand we're not even live, so I should take all the time I can get, but I'm going to power through it, Corey. I need a lozenge. This is what happens. I mock you for having a lozenge, and now I'm like Greg Robinson. Is that the name of the defensive coordinator for the Browns? The whole Bounty Gate guy?
Yeah.
I need a lozenge. All right, anyhow, let's turn it over to the phone lines. I'm going to stop talking.
Oh, boy.
We'll let this guy talk.
Hey, fellas. Jim in Tampa, a.k.a. 5517. Wanted to call early because it's Miami week. Just got a warning to all those Miami fans. Nothing suggests that Florida State should beat Miami this week. Don't let it happen. Don't mess around and let Florida State beat you, because you'll never hear the end of it. So I expect Miami to beat us, but don't let it happen. All right. Bye.
Shout out to Jim in Tampa, a.k.a. 5517. If you don't know.
5517's got a point, man. Like, I think Florida State fans kind of go into this thinking, all right, well, here goes nothing. But sweet Moses, if they pull off the upset, it'll be one of the best wins in recent years for this fan base. Really would be.
Yeah.
Like, it would be, up there with maybe the Michigan game, and I don't know, none of the Florida games really stand out. Maybe the Miami game where they blocked the extra point because they were underdogs in that game too. And it was crazy that Miami just kind of fell apart there in that game. But yeah, man, that would and they lost on a blocked extra point for a guy that made 100 in a row or whatever it was. But yeah, man, I think that's kind of what the mentality has to be if you're a Florida State fan. It's just, all right, I'm going to click on the TV. Here goes nothing. Let's see what they can do against this team. And then if it's in the fourth quarter and you can steal a win, oh boy, that would be a good feeling.
Yeah, I think Gene touched on it yesterday, and I don't know how much sort of credit we're giving Miami, but they lost 7 in a row in this rivalry. I mean, Miami lost 7 times in a row, and it was one game, it was one win, it was one bad play that swung things for them. I mean, obviously it was a full game, but that one plays kind of defines it for both sides. But does that necessarily mean the entire rivalry has now swung to them? So if things get a little bit sideways down there for Miami at times, are there any sort of ghosts that they're having to try to mute out of their head? Because again, I mean, it's most of the guys on that team, they know losing when it comes to Florida State. Yeah, they got the one win, but I wonder if there's any sort of shadow cast by Florida State when it comes to those guys out there in Miami. Let's go to the next question.
Hey guys, Kyle from California. Keep doing what you're doing. Love the show. Listen to every week, every day that you're on. Hey, a couple of things. I wanted to get your take on Willie Taggart's play call-in for the season so far. Wanted to see what your thoughts are. And then also, is it me or is Willie stubborn like Jimbo was when it comes to committing to the run and it's not working? I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I hope he's going to be a little bit more open-minded coming up. Thanks.
Thanks, Kyle. Out in Cali, man, I'm telling you, man, we're everywhere, nationwide,
worldwide, man, worldwide. Yeah, he's definitely stubborn when it comes to the run. I don't think Jimbo was really all that stubborn when it came to run the ball. He would kind of where I thought Jimbo was stubborn. If he got down by 2 scores, no matter what time of game it was, early in the third quarter, he was going to throw it about every down, even if he was down by 2 scores to try to, get back in the game, hit a big play. But as far as Willie goes, yeah, man, I mean, we know what he wants to do. Obviously, we touched on it 1,000 times. The last 3 years of his offenses, they were top 12 in the country in rushing attack. 2 years ago at South Florida, they were 5th in the nation in rushing yards per game. I mean, that's what they did. That's what he wants to do. He cannot do it with this offense, but he continues to try. Part of that, I guess, is commendable. Like, hey, you don't just give up on what you want to do, what you're trying to build, what your program is, what your vision is for the offense, and the toughness you're trying to instill. But part of it is also futile. Not futile like serfdom.
Not an economic
yeah, it's futile because you can't run. So I looked it up, Aslan. So since Cam Akers' 85-yard run against Virginia Tech that led to exactly 0 points, the longest rush from scrimmage Florida State has had since then in the 4 games since was 21 yards, and that was by the quarterback when the game was 23-0 in the fourth quarter against Syracuse. No running back has a rush longer than 17 yards in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
if you take away the 85-yard run, Cam Akers is averaging 3 yards a carry. The offense as a whole is averaging 2.2 yards per carry. And I know you don't take away long runs, but that was legitimately, literally the only big play they've made in the running game all season. There have been no explosive plays at all in the running game except for one that led to 0 points. At some point, I get it. You might be having mannequins out there at tackle, and Francois will be running for his life. But it's either hand the ball off 3 times and punt and try to shorten the game and get out of there losing by, I don't know, 3 scores. They can't win if they don't throw the ball. They can't move the ball if they don't throw the ball. They just can't. And you're going to risk sacks, and you're going to risk 3rd and long, 3rd and 20s. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter if it's 3rd and 20 or 3rd and 8. They don't pick them up. But they score a lot. All their touchdowns seem to come on 1st down when they throw the ball, or 2nd down when they throw the ball. Again, I brought it up repeatedly already, but against Louisville, that last drive, Louisville wasn't expecting the run. They were playing the pass, and you still went down the field and scored. So at some point, it is banging your head into a wall to the point that your skull fractures. Ouch. And I just can't see a reason to try to run the ball 35 times against Miami or 40 times. It doesn't work. It doesn't produce anything other than it milks some of the clock. That's all it does. And I guess it keeps your quarterback kind of upright, but it just takes one play anyway to knock him out of a game if you don't block, even if you're throwing it 18 times. If 14 of the 18 plays he's running for his life, that could knock him out of the game too with an injury. Anyway, it's a tangent, but I just don't see how they have a chance to move the ball because he's not going to run it, Francois, I mean. So your best chance is to try to have your wide receivers go make some plays. Continuing to run the ball is just it's pointless. It's not pointless. There's a point. Right. I get it. No, it's offenseless. It's productionless. That's a better term. It's productionless. It does not produce anything at all. Through 5 games, it has produced jack squat.
Maybe they're close. Maybe they feel like they're close though, and they'll try it out and see if there's maybe someone they can work on against Miami that hasn't maybe necessarily worked against the stout fronts of Samford and Northern Illinois. I will say this though. The wide receiver screen game is slowly being phased out. It feels like, though, no?
Yeah.
So
I think a lot. I mean, those are RPOs, man. I think the quarterback continues to choose ours, and he's choosing the wrong ones, because again, they just don't do anything in the running game. But those screen passes out wide weren't doing much either. I think the ones coming up the middle, like the one that the tunnel screen that they executed perfectly, maybe draw up more of that kind of stuff, man. Also, how about just a screen pass to Cam Akers? And not one where you just throw it to him immediately and they all rush and tackle him a yard from the line of scrimmage. I mean, one where you set it up, you draw the rush, you release some linemen in front of him, get him the ball and see what he can do. I don't remember them doing that at all this year.
Yeah.
I don't remember one single screen pass that they've run this year like that, like a traditional screen pass where you set it up with the blocking and with the lineman out in front. Man, I'm sure they have. I just don't remember it. But try that, man. Just, again, get that guy the ball in space.
Yeah, just let the defensive line just beat you. That's easy, right? That's old hat.
Second nature, yeah.
Yeah, it's boom. But yeah, I was just trying to say is that I mean, he's obviously stubborn to a certain degree, but I think there's certain things that they wanted to do with this offense that didn't work early on that they've tried to get away from. So I guess in some sort of way that's encouraging. Next question.
Wake Up War Chant is the best podcast out there. Y'all are amazing.
Amen.
From punting babies to Aslan getting all sad about one guy getting mad at him. Y'all are hilarious. So keep up the good work. It's Sam again. And I don't know if y'all could gather that sometimes I'm a little anti-Francois. He had the best game, and I was joking with my buddy. And I was like, bench Francois halfway through, and I was like, all right, well, let's bench Blackman. Let's keep Francois because he came through in the end. But yeah, he's kind of streaky, and I hope they're coaching up Blackman, and I want to know if we have any feedback on Blackman or any news on him. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for the call, Sam. Appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I think there was a point in the Louisville game where maybe desperation almost started to maybe feel like it was coming over team. I didn't think they were going to get blown out in that game. I know Corey had that great column about it. Felt like things were really slipping out of their control. You're down 21-7 at halftime. Your quarterback was like 5 of 11, 5 of 12. So maybe if you're going to try to give yourself a shot in the arm, you give it to James Blackman. Like, I love all the intangible stuff James Blackman has. Ultimately, I just don't know his skill set, how much better it would be running the offense than Francois. The only thing I could think of, and this is not me being a smart aleck, is just the fact that the pass rush is so overwhelming at times that maybe the fact that Blackman is just just a little bit taller than Francois, the propensity to get passes tipped at the line of scrimmage is a little less with Blackman there, but his delivery seems to take a little more time than Francois. Francois has the whole tight, compact delivery and gets the ball fairly quickly out of his hand, at least when he's throwing the ball and he knows what he's doing with it. But yeah, I mean, the Blackman thing to me is that would be more concerning than if they come out and start dropping back 45 times. I feel like that is more of a grasp, like just throw in the other quarterback, let's see what that does, as opposed to, listen, we're throwing the ball pretty well. Maybe we should go to a more heavy-based part of that. But they're still working Blackman, but I think obviously what we saw in Louisville and Wade, I think, I saw the way Willie kind of, embraced DeAndre after that game. I mean, I don't know, he's not tethered to DeAndre, but it's going to take something absolutely horrendous pretty much, and physically or performance-wise, for Blackman to get the job. So there's really no point in rooting for a quarterback change.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it just pragmatically, so at halftime of that Louisville game, they had played 10 quarters against ACC opponents, and they had a grand total of 2 touchdowns in 10 quarters. And at halftime of that game, Francois was 5 of 12. Missed a couple throws that have to be made. Just missed them. And the offense was sputtering like it always seems to. And he still wasn't pulled. Even when they went 3 and out on the first drive and then didn't score on the second drive, he still wasn't pulled. So if he's not pulled at that point, you have to imagine it's going to take an injury to get Blackman in there at this point. I mean, or unless Francois just melts down and throws 3 or 4 picks in a row. That's how Blackman's going to get in the game. I think, because I was thinking that too. I'm like, man, how much longer are we going to watch this? I mean, I think DeAndre Francois in the right system is a good college quarterback. He throws the ball. He makes some great throws. He's got a good arm. But in this offense, it was not clicking. He was not doing anything well in the offense. The proof was in the points, man. They had 17 points in 10 quarters. They had 3 scores in 10 quarters, which probably is 30 possessions, 35 possessions. They had 3 scores and against ACC teams, and he's still stuck with them. So that's his quarterback. That's his guy. That's who it's going to be. And he played really well. He made some incredible throws in that Louisville game, and he's a tough kid, and he makes plays at the end when it matters. He's done that. He did that in 16 too. So I don't see Blackman being really a part of this offense unless he absolutely has to be. That said, I don't think 12 runs the offense well. Hoping that what happened in the last 20 minutes of that game on Saturday sparks something, and that he runs it much better moving forward. But that's just hope at this point. That's not reality. We'll see. We'll see on Saturday what he took and how much he builds off that game from Louisville.
Next question.
Aslan, Corey, wake up, guys. It's Martin from Miami. All I want for Christmas is a win on Saturday. I'll be at the game. If you guys want to meet me, I'm in the maroon parking in front of Joe Robbie's statue. I got some Mick Ultras for you guys. Quick tidbit about my first game. It was 1988. We were preseason number 1. I was about 9 years old. I grew up in the shadow of the Orange Bowl, and we got our ass handed. But I never want to feel that feeling again, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. And love you guys.
I like Marlon. Yeah, maybe
Marlon's the best.
Maybe we'll take him
Marlon, you got to tell us what you look like, man.
Well,
there's going to be probably a few people in front of the Joe Robbie statue, and probably a few people with Mick Ultras.
A lot of people
if they're smart. Yeah, if they're smart anyway. So you got to tell us what you look like. That was the Seminole Rap game.
Yep,
that was 30 years ago. This year was the Seminole Rap game, 31-0, and that was the last game that that Florida State lost that year, but they lost in fine fashion.
How glorious has it been for South Florida Knoll fans? And there's a whole bunch. I mean, a whole bunch down there in Broward, Dade, and to a larger extent, if you want to also throw in like Palm Beach County or whatever. But just like for 7 years, just 7. Like I've never lived anywhere that's been predominantly Miami fans or Florida fans. I grew up in the Tampa area, which is maybe like 52-48 Florida, but to like live in Coconut Grove or to like live in Pembroke Pines or to live in Hialeah or something. Like you're always surrounded by Miami fans. And just for 7 years, just to not see the flags, not to see them throw up the U, not to hear them talk about, the swag. That just had to have been an amazing thing. And I'm sorry y'all had 1 year of hearing them talk and chirp again, but hopefully it'll be short-lived. And DeAndre Francois will just put on a laser show.
Well, and it's been 14 years since they've won down there.
Yeah.
Imagine being in a rivalry, a real rivalry, like one of the best in the country, where you go a decade and a half without seeing a home win over that rival.
Yeah. Ask the Gators about it in Gainesville.
That's crazy.
Well, actually, no, that was here in Tallahassee. We owned them until
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'd be like Florida State not beating Miami since 2003 at home or something. I mean, that would be nuts to go that whole time without seeing your team beat the main rival. And Florida State's got two rivals, obviously. Miami only has the one. So their season a lot can be defined, and it's been defined, as mediocre for a decade and a half now by that Florida State game. And to always lose the home game is nuts. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what are you going to do?
Hey, last one before we step aside. This one I think has got some optimism in it, everybody, so we'll go out on a high.
Here we go. Let's hear it.
Corey Aslan, I just wanted to make a point about the Florida State-Miami game this Saturday. So, yeah, this is the same team last year that started off 3-6. But this is also the same team that came within one play of beating the same Miami team we're playing on Saturday last year over one boneheaded decision from a coach that's an absolute garbage defensive coordinator, but that's neither here nor there. My point is that Florida State, even though we're downtrodden, can beat this Miami team in Miami. All right, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's still the same Mark Richt team. All right, I truly believe we can go down there and punch them in the mouth and beat their ass. I just wanted to make that point, guys. Thank you and love you. Love the show.
All right, man. Here we go.
We love you more. We wish you left your name so we'd have known your name. But, yeah, man, we love you more. And I don't think anybody's thinking that it's an impossibility. It's just, it's just going to be hard because of the matchup on one particular line of scrimmage. It's going to be hard to move the ball against them. And if you can't move the ball, it's going to be tough to win down there. They didn't really move the ball. What was the score last year at halftime? Wasn't it 3-0?
Something ugly like
that. I mean,
and
Malik Rozier is terrible. Malik Rozier might be the worst. Well, no, I was going to say that. He's not as bad as Kirby Freeman. Kirby Freeman led a last-minute touchdown drive to beat Florida State 1 year in Doak, too. And then Xavier Lee started throwing balls to kill worms. And then, so Malik Rozier is the second worst Miami quarterback to probably ever beat Florida State. And he did it in the last minute because of and here's the thing though, I blame Jimbo and I blame Charles Kelly for that touchdown, losing on the touchdown, but there's a good chance it was going to overtime anyway, because they were already in field goal range and they were only down 3. That's why that defense made even less sense. Well, yeah, I won't even get back into it, but yeah, man, it's not like the talent level, there's such a disparity that Florida State has no chance. That's just not true. You think about that, even that 2002 Miami game, and I know that's 16 years ago, that's one of the more talented football teams ever created. Mm-hmm. And Florida State had just lost to Louisville, and then they went down there and should have won that game. They were right there to win that game, and then it came down to a kick that they missed. Man, Florida State can play with Miami. Florida State can beat Miami. It's just, again, it's hard to punch a team in the mouth when you don't have the heavyweights up front to do the punching. And hopefully they play their best game of the year, even without probably their best lineman. And they go in there and you know what they do? They shock the world.
Are you good? You good, Corey?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm good. I thought that was solid.
There you go. All right. Again, I just feel that it's time to start dipping into some of this equity, this whole play for each other, camaraderie, the want to, all that sort of stuff. I mean, we talk about guys that are, their first year on campus, but hey, he's not a freshman anymore. This is the sixth game that he's playing. He's not a freshman anymore. We expected him to go make this play. This is week 6. I mean, it's week 6. I know it's a new staff, but I feel like with the rivalry aspect that always has the uncertainty surrounding it, that this team, maybe defensively they just come out and they play really solid. They keep this game within striking distance, and then yeah, man, maybe they dial up a few deep shots, and Brady Scott and Abdul Bello block their balls off for 3.2 seconds, or Derek Kelly does, and then you make a throw to Naquan over the middle, and he makes a bunch of people miss. Tamori Terry gets by his guy, which he seems to do pretty constantly, and then you're right in the thick of things. So that's the thing. The romanticism of football for me, by and large, is dead. But I feel like if there's one game where Willie can maybe tap into some of the emotion stuff and let these guys know just how important it is to indeed play for each other, love of one another, want to get things done, this is it. And after 6 weeks, I think you can expect the guys to care enough and give a damn enough and to know enough to get in some trouble down there and maybe pull this off. So let's step aside. We'll be right back after this. We've got a few more questions to go through, and we'll do so right here on Wake Up War Chant.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant, all Noles, every day. Now back to Corey and Aslan.
Jumping music, slick DJs, fog machines, and laser rays.
Now, welcome back, folks. If we get the over-under from Vegas here, the weekly over-under, well, we'll get to it. If not, I promise this time it'll be on the Tribal Council on warchant.com, and I will update the standings, and Corey and I will make our sort of over-under selections. So keep an eye out on that. With that said, this is a long question. It's about a minute. We'll play it, and we'll wrap it up if need be. Let's go.
What's up, fellas? It's Shane. So, honestly, man, I just wanted to call and just ask, where are we, man? Where are we in this program right now? I mean, are we feeling good about the direction that everything's going? I mean, are we liking the coaches, on the staff? And what in the hell is Hampton doing, man? I mean, are we just giving this man a paycheck and just hoping that his recruiting does what we need him to do? Or, I mean, because I just don't see it in the special teams. I mean, when y'all are out there, I mean, is he with the special teams? I mean, is there some coaching going on there? Or, I mean, what are we doing here? But anyway, fellas, I just wanted to call, man, just get a feel, the way things have been going and stuff like that.
All right, thanks for the call, Shane. Special teams, I mean, it's not like they're just always with the coach the entire practice. There are certain periods of the practice. There are certain 5-minute segments that it's special teams. Thankfully, we haven't had to see a lot of that because it's boring. I don't want to see punt return. I don't want to see Ricky Aguayo line up left hash and kick a 30-yarder, then line up right hash and kick a 30-yarder. So it's. I don't think it does a lot for us to get a feel for where the program is at. But there's something a little bit to there's room for growth for sure in the special teams department. I mean, they're trying. I mean, I can at least tell you that. I mean, that doesn't help out a lot. I would think if anybody would maybe get reassigned at some point of Willie Taggart's tenure to maybe like a support staff sort of position, it would probably be Alonzo Hampton, but that's just a guess. Because overall, I like the staff. I mean, I really do. I know people are trying to say that David Kelly's the guy that apparently might need to focus on being a behind-the-scenes guy, recruiter, and that kind of stuff, what he was originally brought in for. But, I mean, the receivers are getting open. The receivers outside, weeks 1 and 2 haven't, I don't remember any illegal procedure calls here in the last 2 weeks. Feel like they're getting some of that stuff cleaned up. But, I mean, I like the staff as a whole. I think Greg Fry, again, is trying to make chicken salad out of some of lesser ingredients. Defensively, I guess maybe people expected more out of Brian Burns, but I think Mark Snyder is a good enough coach. But I don't know. I don't know if 6 weeks, 6 games is enough to make any sort of bold, big picture proclamations about the direction of this program. It's not a good football team right now. It doesn't mean they're not capable of playing good on some weeks. And hopefully one of those weeks is this Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, Shane went all existential with us, with just where are we? What's the existence of this program? What direction? It was very macro. Um, it's hard to say, man. I'm certainly not sold that this is the guy that's going to lead them to the promised land, but I'm certainly not for sure certain that he's not going to do it either. I mean, we just don't know after 5 games. They made strides the last 2 weeks. They looked competent after the debacle against Syracuse, so that's a good sign. I think Harlan Barnett's a good defensive coordinator. I think he dials up blitzes that can get home. I think his guys play hard and play for him. They don't play smart all the time, and I don't think he's got a world class ton of talent on that side of the ball. Quite frankly, I just don't. I don't think that secondary is what a typical Florida State secondary has been in recent years. The linebackers are the linebackers. And then on the defensive line, I think Marvin's going to play in the NFL for a long, long time. Is anybody else? I just don't see and I'm not saying they won't, but there's no surefire long-term NFL guys on that defensive line that I can tell through 5 weeks of this season. What's DeMarcus Christmas done? What's any defensive end not named Brian Burns done this season? There's not a lot of great ingredients on that defense, and obviously the offense has been, a train wreck for a good portion of the year. But we'll see. We will see. The special teams has been not great, and that's being kind. As Aslan says, they do have a lot of room for growth. So maybe they're just setting us up by playing as poorly as possible through the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, to at the end of the year when they're returning punts for touchdowns and blocking punts, and Logan Tyler's booming 56 yards against Florida. We'll praise Alonzo Hampton as doing one of the best turnaround stories in college football.
Yeah. We haven't got a kick blocked in a few weeks, or close to getting a kick blocked in a few weeks. You know what they did do against Louisville, Corey? You were like setting this up earlier in the program a few days ago, and I was like, they did it again, but it was we kind of missed each other on it. But there was another punt that I felt like it had another 2 yards maybe in it. I know it's not the end of the world; it's just 2 yards, but they downed it again. And there was nobody around. I know you don't want to just sit there and stare at the ball, because sometimes the opposing team can just come up and snatch it and then still return it, obviously, because the ball is still alive. But there's like another punt where there's like 2 yards they left on the field in a game that was not going to be pretty, in a game where points are going to be at a premium and moving the ball was going to be at a premium. Again, like they gave them like 2 free yards. I just don't get it. Like, let the ball. I mean, just how much can you not be just in the film room? Hey, guys. With the football, we're going to wait for it to come to pretty much a complete stop before we're going to touch it. Actually, let it come to a complete stop and then touch it, especially when one of you has your back to the ball and the other one's looking dead at the ball. We're all covered at that point.
Also, don't let a ball hit you in the helmet.
Yeah, that doesn't help either. All right, this is the last long one, then we got 3 short ones. Let's go.
Wake up, Aspen! Wake up, Corby! This is Ruth Ann down in Palm Springs.
Whoa, you ready for this one? Are you ready? I just paused it.
Yeah, I am ready.
All
did
right.
she? It sounded like she called you has been.
Did she? I think her name is. It transcribes out as Ruth. So
no, I thought she called you has been instead of Aslan.
Right. But I think the name of the person calling is
okay.
Ruth.
Well, let's hear what we got here.
Buckle up. There's supposedly a minute more of this, but we'll see if we can make it the whole way.
Now, I just called to tell you that I'm excited about this game, boy. Let me tell you what. If it comes down to it, I know what we're going to do. We're going to pass it. Now, if you don't believe me, just ask Corby. He knows what I'm talking about. There ain't no run game. It's all about the pass. I'm telling you right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to snap that ball. We're going to get it in the quarterback's hands. No fumbles now. No fumbles. And then we're going to pass it right over the middle to number 15, my man. Ain't that right, Corby? Now, if that don't work, we can do underneath stuff, think and dunk. I know how this game works, gentlemen. You know how this game works. Let's pass, because our O-line, it ain't doing squat right now. They couldn't block a cold or sneeze or what have you. Now, we're thinking, you're thinking, let's all get this over and done with, and let's get a W down there in Miami. All right, get it done.
All right. So
next question.
We're just not going to screen. We just don't screen them at all. We just whatever anybody wants to leave, we're going to play. We're basically Ron Burgundy looking into the teleprompter. If they leave a message, by God, has been is going to play it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Next question.
Hi, Wake Up War Chant. This is Marie from Louisville, Kentucky. Churchill
Stop
Downs,
it.
Marie.
Stop it. Another one?
What do you mean another one?
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. It was a joke. Because this Marie sounds very rational, calm, logical. So it's a nice counterbalance to what we just experienced.
All right.
Corey. I want to thank Corey for the Churchill Downs shout out. No one believed I saw you there. My son even says, since I didn't get a picture, it didn't happen. So thanks for verifying my story. Hope your son enjoyed the Louisville Slugger bat. The FSU win.
Oh, it cut her off. I'm sorry, Marie. That was obviously something on Google's end. But yeah, Marie, she was the one that gave you the bat, Corey.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and my son almost broke the window of my car with that bat, which was pretty awesome. I actually had a good week with my kid up there in Atlanta. Sometimes I'll yell at him a lot because he's a crazy little goofball. But the only real time he got in trouble was he had the bat. He was playing with it in the back. And now he's 10 and a half now. It's not like he's 3.
10 and a half?
And then he banged the window with it. Pretty hard. And, like maybe 10% harder, he would have cracked the back window with the bat. So I wasn't really fired up about that, but he is a big fan of it. He loved the bat. He said, thank you. And I will reiterate, thank you. That was very nice. But you're right. If you didn't get a pick, it didn't happen. That's basically what life is like in 2018.
Next question.
Hey, guys. Dirk from Claremont. Wake up. Excited about the Miami game. Realizing they potentially are going to lose, but excited anyway. Favorite memory is Ponder running all over that Miami defense. They thought he was going to be passing the whole game. He just ran and ran. My question would be, who are worse, Miami fans or Florida fans? I feel like there's a mutual respect for the players on the field from Miami, but their fans are jerks. Then Florida, I feel like just hate them on the field and hate them in the stands. Want to get your take? Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, Dirk. Appreciate the question.
So obviously, what was the name? Was it Ruth Ann? Was that who it was, so. Ruth?
I'm so skeptical. I almost feel like that was a guy.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's obviously a put on. It's obviously somebody screwing with it, which is fine. We can be fine bomb. I don't care. We can have people play characters. But calling me Corby was funny. And it was really funny. It did sound like it could have been maybe somebody pretending to be a woman. Yeah. But even if it was a woman, it was a woman not maybe using her real voice and certainly being more excited about snapping the ball to the quarterback and then having a quarterback throw the ball downfield. Yeah. Anyway, I would say for this question, man, aren't Miami fans worse? Like, I think Florida State and Florida have maybe more of even a heated rivalry, a hated rivalry. But, the fandom isn't that different. Their degrees different. I know we make the George jokes and all that, and they're hillbillies and all that, and I'm sure they have jokes about Florida State fans too. But by and large, they're people that live in North Florida that are big college football fans. They're passionate college football fans. Both fan bases have those. Miami, man, again, it's like South Beach just vomited a bunch of chain-wearing, U-flashing ne'er-do-wells and said, hey, here's our fans, but they're only going to show up to a game once every 2 years. So Miami fans are definitely the worst, right?
I think Miami fans have more currency to be jerks. They've got 5 rings.
Come on, man. They got 5 rings from the 90s and 80s. They'd be living on – I mean, was it 17 years ago now?
Well, how long ago was Tim Tebow? That was a long, long time ago. I've been struggling to try to find, the proper metaphor between those two fan bases. I just think, Miami fans are so brash and in-your-face obnoxious, but I don't think that necessarily means they're worse than the more nuanced. It's like somebody who you don't, they're your enemy, and you're on equal ground, then it's the person who's, talking behind your back and pretends they're nice to you maybe, but then is actually conspiring behind the scenes to ruin you. That's Florida fans. Florida fans are more of a I think an evil genius wannabe type of fan, whereas Miami fans this is who we are, take it or leave it, and most everybody leaves it because your guys are.
I also think Miami fans, they're cartoonish. Yeah. They're but I think it's almost like they're playing a part.
Yes.
Like, this is what we're supposed to act like. So put on the do-rag, put on the Shockey jersey, scream obscenities to 9-year-old kids as they walk by, shotgun a beer or whatever you're doing. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with shotgunning beers, but, they do it with literal shotguns. And, it's just like they're playing a role. They're playing a part. They're like pro wrestlers. They're the heels, and they love it. But they're so outlandish and so over the top. And also, they're not good fans. They do not show up to that stadium but once every 2 years when Florida State comes to town. So as a fan base, they're just not good fans. They're the worst fans. But I guess also it's what you're getting with them. You're right. They don't hide who they are at all. They are what they are.
Yeah,
and they are proud of it.
Florida fans, the whole Dan Jenkins thing, tradition of Wake Forest, arrogance of Notre Dame, and that was before they actually won a national championship ever. Yeah, there's a certain air of arrogance and snobbery to Florida fans that I just don't appreciate. Not that I appreciate anything about Miami fans, but I just sort of get it. The culture down there is very brash. It's South Beach. It's just like the island of misfit toys and whatnot. And that's just who they are. It's in their DNA. And I think they've been able to. I mean, they've been able to talk more smack. They have more sort of ammunition to fall back on. I mean, Florida, the amount of head start Florida's had over Florida State, and they have nothing to show for it in terms of being superior to Florida State. Yet they act like it, and that just.
I hear you. Hey, this is a debate as old as time. We'll never be able to settle it for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's. We are out of time, but we got one final question. Let's go ahead and let it rip.
Hey guys, this is a true Tar Heel Raider, your favorite Tar Heel fan up here in Marineland in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Real quick, man, you guys are hating on my UNC Tar Heels kind of bad, but no, we do suck. But we have a really good offensive line, so let's make a deal. You give us one of your quarterbacks, anyone, and we'll give you our offensive line. We can't do any worse because we have a good offensive line and we still suck, like suck donkey. And also, man, you know what? I'm gonna cut it at that. All right, talk to you guys later. Wait up. Bye.
Any of the quarterbacks? Like not even one of the it doesn't have to be a scholarship quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know. So everyone
give him the McDonald kid.
Yeah, everyone keeps talking about how college football is going to descend into free agency with this whole redshirt rule. Imagine if there's like trades, right? Like Florida State, like we'll give you Deontay Sheffield and Carlos Becker, a lot of upside potential guys, and we'll throw in, James Blackman, and then we ask Wisconsin to give us like 3/5 of their offensive line.
I think it's going to take more than what you just offered.
Well, they've got surplus.
I mean,
up
are
there.
you kidding with Sheffield and Becker and a backup quarterback? Come on, man. To get 3/5 of my Wisconsin's offensive line, and like don't they have 3 guys that are supposed to be top 2-round draft picks?
I think so. Yeah, I think
you would have to give them Terry.
No,
you'd have to give them Woodby.
No, it's not how it works, Corey.
And then you could give them Dickerson. That is how it works. Well, why would Wisconsin do that for Sheffield in a backup quarterback?
I don't know.
I'm just trying. If we're doing it, let's do it. Let's come up with what would have to happen to get 3/5 of Wisconsin's offensive line. I think you got to give them a couple of your own linemen, and then throw in Terry and Woodby, or Terry and Samuels.
They're untradeable.
Something like that.
They're untouchable. So, or maybe we can't get Wisconsin's top 3 offensive linemen, but maybe we get like the weakest link on their starting 5, and then maybe their best backup. But yeah, like Tamorian Terry's untouchable. Marvin Wilson's untouchable. Like those guys are not tradable assets. Like if there's like 5 guys who are like, okay, they're untradeable assets on this team right now, not like 3 years down the line. Like you would not trade Burns, you would not trade Wilson, you're not trading Tamorian Terry. I don't think you trade Cam. I mean, despite how bad the offensive line has made him look. And then I don't know who's like the 5th guy you would keep. Like Woodby. I mean, Woodby's got too much upside, too many years, too much tread left on the tire. I probably just totally forgot.
Yeah, I would say that I'm of the opinion that if this was a real life, that none of those guys are untouchable. Not Burns too. Like you could trade Burns for there's probably 15 or 20 defensive linemen in the country you might prefer to have over him. And I think he's doing well. He's certainly doing better than any other defensive ends. But yeah, I don't know that. Maybe that's the deal. Like last year, obviously 2 years ago, Dalvin would have been untouchable. Jameis was untouchable. Benjamin Green, Telvin, LaMarcus. They went from having a roster full of untouchable dudes to now you're trying, like literally that 13 team, you might have looked at that and said, man, I'm not trading him. There might have been a dozen or 15 untouchable players, including the kicker. And now you're to the point where it's hard to come up with like 3.
Well, listen, the whole offers.
Absolutely got to keep them. Absolutely got to have
available. Fire sale. Everybody's available.
Everybody's available. We are building for the future here, folks.
All right, Corey, final score prediction. I know how much you like doing these.
23-10.
Okay. All right, so they're not going to cover.
I didn't even tell you who I thought was going to win. I just
Oh.
gave you the score. You just asked for a score prediction.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Oh,
Smart
yeah.
aleck.
Yeah.
Smart
Yeah, I'm
aleck
going to keep
guy.
that a mystery who I think is going to win. If you've been listening throughout the week, you might have an inkling of who I think will win the game, but I'm not going to go on record and saying that.
What would make you – so would you feel any different? The final score was just – you don't have the teams attached to it, but the final score was 23-20 or if it was like 38-35 or one of those scenarios you think would be – Florida State would be more likely to be on the winning side if it was like a 23-20 win or a 38-35 win? Like if you saw those numbers.
It's really hard. I'm not being sarcastic and I'm not being pessimist. It's hard to even imagine and envision a 35-point, 38-point performance down there. It just is. I can't wrap my mind around it. If they're going to win, it's going to have to, in my opinion, it'll have to be like, unless they get some defensive scores, it'll have to be like a 23-20 or 20-16 type game.
All right. I'm going to say 23-20.
Okay. All right, buddy. Okay.
Ricky Aguayo hits a 47-yard field goal as time expires.
Walk off.
Play the fight song.
From Aguayo, huh?
Play the fight song. Play the fight song. We're out of here, folks. Have a great one. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening.